don't want to see is a year from now, 2 years, 4 years from now, that we find that the facility is once again deteriorated, and we have to come back up with money to try to put it in condition. That's where I'd like to go, and I'd like to take the next step and involve law enforcement, counties, cities, and get this worked out as to who's going to be the person that's called. We had an incident where just recently dispatch called, had Harrison County come down, pick a dog up. They hauled it back to Harrison County. Then the guy came in and said, "Where's my dog?" Well, it's in Harrison County. So that we get these details put together, so there's no reason to haul that animal if we have a working animal shelter to Harrison County. So get all these details, because the dispatch people still have a protocol there to call Harrison County. So we need to work through those things to address how all of that will be handled and who will be the responsible party. We even had discussions on a vehicle, and that opens another can of worms. But to work these things out so that we have at least an attempt at a functional operation. And that's where I would like to go on this.
Isn't that two separate items yet, though? I mean, yes, we need, I agree with you, Randy, we need to work on how dispatches the officers and work how to go. But this is an animal shelter itself. And I agree with that, getting it out where it needs to be.
Okay.
I'd like to see a turnkey.
I'd like for her to walk in the door.
But that's going to be a great question for your attorney. And I thought Attorney Chris told us one time, we can't, as a county, I guess if it's designated to be used for the animal shelter, that might be a different story, but we cannot take a lease money in. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I don't have it on document. I thought that's what.
My understanding is that we are accepting lease money currently, but by deed restriction, it can only be used on the animal shelter, and that's where I think we have the opportunity to take those funds to fix the furnace, the water lines, if we need to paint things, get the cages and everything up to speed. And I haven't been there, you know, to look at it. But we can take that lease money, which is restricted, and fix the place so that when she comes in the door, she doesn't have all these tasks ahead of her. You know, she can focus on animal shelter.
Probably enough money in there now to hire somebody to fix it up and the county pays for it.
Yes, I hope so.
Because I think the lease payment's been coming in ever since it's been closed, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So
That goes in that certain fund.
It goes in a restricted
Yeah,
fund.
that's the only place that could be used for.
Is for the animal
And
shelter.
I want to keep, and it has to be kept that way, and I want to keep it that way.
And that's why that money can be earmarked. Then if we have a major problem, we will accumulate that money, then the county steps up and fixes it. Then we have a building that's serviceable irregardless of who's running the animal shelter. And that provides the funding. We don't have to ask the taxpayer. As long as the lease continues to come in, we reserve it to take care of these major things so that facility stays top-notch.
And that needs to also be in the contract, because some, they're in her contract, it states that they will be responsible for maintenance and
Right.
filling. But it needs to be minor maintenance, not
Minor
major
maintenance.
maintenance.
The little stuff, yes.
I would like to add one more thing to that, if we would think about that. I would like to put a threshold on, just say, if it hits $50,000 in that fund, that money goes to the animal shelter. But as long as we keep, it don't have to be 50, I'm just throwing a number.
Some
out.
number. We can look at that, and I think we're going to have to stay somewhat flexible, because she's going to have additional donations, funding, something coming in, because she's not going to, the cities aren't funding her with enough money. So I think it's kind of like a learning thing we're going to have to go through, and we're going to have to recognize if the wheels start to fall off of it, we're going to have to take some other action. But trying to predict all the what-ifs will be difficult.
Yeah.
But I think as a board, I think we're all on board with that. We want it to be a success. We just have to get it over that threshold in order to do it.
Molly, would that help you if we hire somebody to fix the
Get
plumbing?
you up to
Make sure the heat works?
We'll take that.
I know the roof's supposed to be good because they put a new roof on it.
The roof is good.
Okay.
Yeah, that had a new roof put on.
because you still have an opening in the roof.
I know the roof's supposed to be good, because they put a new roof on.
The roof is good. In the building, I got all the dead birds out. And we've got some silver tiles replaced that were missing, where I thought they were coming in. But since I had another one out, entered the building. So they're getting in some way, and I haven't located, exactly how they're getting in. But there was a new roof put on, so I think in some way,
Maybe a flashing issue somewhere.
It
I don't know.
Provide a home.
Air vent somewhere.
it very well may be. I haven't gotten up on the roof yet.
You don't need to be on that roof.
Thank
Yeah.
you. However, my main concern right now is I cannot restore in that building. And then, once I get that, we can move forward with that, then I can get the water turned on. And then I know that that's gonna open up another can of worms.
Yes,
I think we need to do that.
I agree, we need to.
We're okay with that. What I'd like to
So
do
I've
also,
gotten one bid, I've received one bid, for the heat. I've made another, and so I've gotten another call to a company, they're supposed to return my call, to come out and look at the system, and then I've got another company as well. We're supposed to, I'm hoping that we can make a hookup today or tomorrow, and they can look at the system and get another bid, because I know that you all are gonna want a minimum of 2 bids.
3 preferably, but that's not necessarily always
I'm gonna try to get 3.
attempt to, because a lot of them just have documentation that you actually reached out, requested bids and that, because sometimes people don't have an interest. Now, what I would like to do also, we're gonna have to get the council on board with the funding, but I would like, if at all possible, schedule a time. We'll post the meeting, give us 48 hours notice, and reconvene at the animal shelter simply for a walkthrough. Because I would like to be educated on the facility. I'm sure the council wants to do that. And then we can legally join there at the facility and just walk through to see some of our challenges.
One thing we need to do, or I think that should be done, is to put this kind of on a fast track.
Oh,
Because Molly's been waiting
Sure,
to pay for
I agree.
3 months.
That's why if we go to the facility, walk through it, I think the problems will be obvious. And then we'll have to sit there.
Can we, does it have to be published, or can you just get up here and go today?
Well, we should, whenever there's gonna be 3 potential commissioners there and over 4 councilmen. It's a public meeting. It takes 48 hours. We can publish it here by noon and be there in 2 days and be legal.
So you can do, we can meet at the shelter Thursday or Friday.
Sure, we could do it Thursday. As long as it's 48 hours notice, we can publicize it. It's a public meeting. The public is allowed to attend. And if they choose to, that's quite all right. They're paying it. So that gives us an opportunity, because right now I'm speculating somewhat, and I'd prefer to go through there and look. So, and it'll tell us, it'll give us an idea exactly what we're looking at, the challenges, to get this facility up to a condition it's suitable for operation. And I
Something else I want to bring up, you talk about keeping it up and all this. Our maintenance person, which is Greg Hendershot, am I correct in saying that?
That's kind of the title, sorta, along
he's
with
actually
Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Someone needs to be designated to go to these county buildings and do, once a month, do PMs on them, check the furnaces, check the air conditioning, check the water, check whatever. It has to be done, because that's why this animal shelter got in the shape it's in. It was not maintained.
Preventive maintenance.
Preventative maintenance,
It's
I've done it for
neglected all the
years.
time.
You have to keep what you got before you can move forward.
Just like changing an air filter in a furnace.
That's right.
I don't think, when they shut the thing down, they made it safe. They tried to drain everything, because they knew there wasn't any future, in the near future, of opening it back up. We didn't realize it was gonna take 5 years. But I think it was maintained to sit there. And you know what happens when an empty building sits there 5 years? Just leave your house for 5 years and come back.
Oh, please.
So,
I think the state of Irvine is behind us.
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, yes, it's gonna take money to fix up, but it's a really, really nice facility, where the pins are made. I mean, you take a picture of it now, and you have somebody come in and give it a cleaning, which Molly has probably already started doing, you won't know the building. It's just one of those things, you leave anything set for 5 years
Yeah.
and not maintained,
But what I'm saying is,
it struggles.
from here on, it needs to have a PM.
Yeah.
Done up, just like any.
And
I think-
that structure behind every building we own is critical,
Mhm.
because that's just the simple things we fix.
And it needs to be documented.
And if something ever happened 20 years, if they dissolved, it's probably set back in the contract, it'll come back to the county again.
It does.
So,
It's county building.
yeah, so it has to be.
So we're okay with that. I can go to the council meeting tonight and have a discussion about the money, and if, I'd like to set a date, Thursday? So we're okay with that. Can we do it like at 1 o'clock?
Just set it up Thursday and whoever can show up.
Yeah. And we'll advertise it, and if we're not in a quorum, whatever, it doesn't matter, but at least we're legal.
Thursday at 1, would that be fine?
Trying to make, I might be
No,
setting.
we are going to the shelter in Cannleton, and we're going to visit it. 1 o'clock on Thursday. So just post it. And post it for the commissioners and the council. A joint meeting.
I might be there, I might be sitting in line for grant company, depends how long the lines are. I'm gonna get down there early Thursday, so.
Okay, otherwise, public comment, miscellaneous, anything that's, somebody wants to discuss?
I forgot to say when I opened comments, welcome aboard. Sorry about that, I forgot, I was gonna mention that earlier, so.
Randy, I got one.
Get up here, Keith, so we can hear you.
That can hear me.
Probably so.
One thing I think, starting the new year and everything, I'm gonna bring it up to the council tonight. You mentioned having at least 2 bids. But we're gonna set 2 bids on anything that's over $500, 2 bids on anything the county spends money on.
Well, I
And there needs to be
think,
a policy.
I think state
for that.
statute wants us to have like 3 bids at a certain threshold. The problem you get into, you know it yourself, if it's a smaller project, getting 3 people to collect prices, do it all together, a lot of times they think, no, it's not. We can, what I want to do, it's okay to ask for it, but as long as whoever is seeking these bids, we don't want to take a project and say, until you get 3 firm bids, we're not moving ahead. But if you have documentation that, let's say for instance, it's electrical contractors, that I sent a letter requesting a bid to this guy, this guy, this guy. I called him on the phone, but have some documentation that an attempt was actually made.
Yeah.
And that individual, and if you could get a letter from him saying, we have no interest, then the project can move forward.
But I think that threat, it shouldn't be 50,000 like the
No,
state said.
no.
I think it needs to be dropped down to
Something, I mean,
maybe
just
2,500.
just in general, we need to pursue a
Yeah.
project like that.
Of course, you probably want to wait for your legal
Yeah.
advice. to
But it's
go
like
that.
we have-
Just something for you guys to think about.
If we have somebody that's just going to repair a bathroom faucet,
Well, I mean, emergency situation, you
Those
gotta
things
do what
just
you gotta do. Hopefully replacing faucets wouldn't, be one of Allen's. It wouldn't be, a $2,500 job.
Right.
But Allen's might be with this automatic shut-off.
I was listening to this, I'm sorry.
any other comments? Cindy?
I've sent emails continuously, but I just like to request that the conflict of interest forms required by state from all elected officials or appointed members of the community get filled out, sent into the state and filed.
We have a form we use with the ARP committee. Pretty straightforward. You sign it, fill out any of your conflicts, and/or if you don't have a conflict, you check that box and sign it. Because at some point, if we do that at the next meeting, which I'm fine with this, I think it is a state requirement, In the future, my cousin might come and do something, so I would have to address it. But at the time of signatures, you know, you just reflect that, and all boards should do that. I mean, it should be just a housekeeping thing that's carried out. I'm supportive of that. Any other comments? I'm going to change Tom up from all these years. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. And first, Becky, I want to congratulate you on being the first woman commissioner in Clay County. So, Randy, we may be short-lived here. They may have all of women up here making these decisions. It might be better than that. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that, Randy.
All those in favor? Aye. We're out of here. Thank you for attending.